So I'm going to pick up my Taiga Snowmobile. This snowmobile has been on order for over 4 years, I believe. They contacted me two months ago, wanted full payment, so I had to wire transfer the money. Now, Taiga is a Canadian company. I live in the state of Minnesota in the United States. There's a story here. I called over a year ago and said I've had this order for quite a while. When will I be receiving this snowmobile? Because I originally had to put a $500 down payment in order to reserve my spot. So I talked to an individual at Taiga a year ago, and they said that they didn't have a licensing agreement to sell in any state except for Vermont. So they were unable to ship a snowmobile to Minnesota, even though they were producing. I don't really need another snowmobile. I already have 4 gas snowmobiles, but I really wanted to move to an all-electric paradigm. After that conversation, I kind of put it out of my head, and then out of the blue in late June of this year, I get a call, and it's from a Taiga delivery manager wanting to know if I still want to take delivery on my snowmobile. So I said sure. They emailed me out the instructions. It included having to wire the entire retail cost of the snowmobile to them, which was a little nerve-wracking. I mean, with all the email phishing and scams going on, you know, somebody asking you to send, you know, 5-digit money across the border on a wire transfer is a little nerve-wracking. So I kind of went through my laundry list of items to, you know, to validate and make sure that this was a legitimate thing. The email address was legitimate. The paperwork was legitimate. So I wire transferred that money just after the 4th of July. Then it took almost 2 months to get a notification that my snowmobile was in the United States. It was in Vermont, and it was being looked over and inspected so that it could be delivered from Vermont to Minnesota. So I was getting really excited. I brought my snowmobile trailer from my cabin in North Dakota down so that I had it with me. I was all ready to go get it loaded up and called Chopper City, who's the authorized reseller and repair center in Fridley, Minnesota, and said, I'm ready to come get my snowmobile. To which they informed me, you're who? And no, we don't have a snowmobile for you. So that was a little nerve-wracking. You know, maybe my due diligence wasn't good enough, and I did get scammed. So I contacted the person at Taiga, and they apologized profusely, saying they're very sorry that, but my snowmobile never passed the inspection, and they sent it back to the factory to get it fixed. So that was 3 weeks ago, and they said they got it fixed. They got it on. They got it delivered. It has arrived in Fridley. So now we are on our way to Fridley to pick it up. So come join me. So we have it home. What I received from the dealer was a Taiga backpack. Yeah, just a nice little backpack with the toolkit, some stickers. Also, they sent with it a charger, a Clipper Creek. It's only 120 volt. So no high-speed charging here. This would just be for a wall trickle. So this is the Founders Edition. I actually didn't order the Founders Edition, but because I have been a customer for so long, that's the one that they sent to me. Did get included a 12-point RCA plug, which is good for plugging in heated face shields. This thing is just a beast. So it comes with a tether. The tether is both the ignition key and the safety key. So you need to pop that on, and then when you put the start button, it starts booting up. And I guess this is an operating system, so you have to wait for it to complete the boot process before you're able to take off and ride. So probably something when you're going for a ride, you do a few minutes before as you're finishing getting dressed and sweeping off the snowmobile. Now it says we're getting a signal. That looks like a satellite, so maybe a GPS signal there. Looks like we're getting some kind of over-the-air signal. This is all controlled with this menu system here. I'll read the instruction manual and maybe I'll find out more of toggles through the riding modes. Wild, range, sport. Imagine range is going to be the most common. Turn the handle grip warmers on. These don't seem to do anything. But maybe through a firmware update they'll do more. Charging is right here. So your standard level 1, 2, and level 3 charging. Founders Edition came with the high-speed charging added to it. So as far as access, the only place that I can find any kind of storage is underneath this little frunk here. And it's just fairly flimsy, cheap plastic area. I don't know, what you throw a small bag up there, maybe a couple tennis shoes or something. And then it's just got a rubber grommet that pops onto this knob down here for easy just closing like that. So the Founders Edition did come with the upgraded shocks. So 2 on the front, also 2 underneath. Here's a complete shot of the undercarriage. I love this. Towing capacity 1,100 pounds. Maximum cargo load 126. This is a snowmobile, not a pickup truck. So I've been going through the owner's manual, hoping to glean some inspirational piece of information that doesn't come intuitive. But the more I read it, the more I realize this owner's manual is about liability. So, I mean, what kind of boots and socks, gloves and mittens should you wear? Eye protection, you know, always respect local laws. Don't use drugs and alcohol, all kinds of warning labels, everything you should and shouldn't do. And then just about every page, you know, weather conditions, rider capacities, you know, controls, towings, warnings, cautions, notices. Everything here is pretty much no-brainers, don't do, bad ideas. Now, this interesting thing, the direction pad. I can't actually find a use for the directional pad. It says here, use the center OK button to accept over the errors. For additional details, see over the error updates. That is all they're using it for at this particular point. I love this part. The parking brake. The parking brake is intended to be used up to 5 minutes, is not meant for long-term use. Isn't that the definition of a parking brake? So the display, it's in kilometers per hour and kilometers for distance. I've searched this thing high and low, and I cannot find a way of changing the speedometer and the distance to good old English miles per hour and miles. I'm hoping that comes with a software update. So the Snowmobile actually comes with a 12-volt RCA style jack, but it's not a lot of power, limited to 2 amps. Probably do your heated face shield would be about it. Oh, I love this. Break-in period. It does not require a break-in period. Although later you get to the track, and the track requires a break-in period. So why they didn't combine those, I don't know. More covering your liability here. Warnings, notices, dangers, procedures. Not anything inspirational or new about connecting the cable. You actually have to turn the vehicle on for the charging to work. So like we have, so at night our charger comes on for off peak. I don't know how it's going to work if I have to start the vehicle. Passengers, how to ride, riding conditions. So just a lot of warnings and notices. So I don't think anybody's going to find anything inspirational in here. I'm just kind of turning the pages so you can pause if you want to look and read into any more information. It gives a little bit of information about the ski alignment. That's kind of nice. Stored inside. And then we go into compliances and technical information. And then the rest of this is in French, so no need to go over that. So there's the owner's manual in a nutshell. So I'm curious to find out what's behind this panel. So it comes with a Clipper Creek, 120 volts. So this popped up now that I had it charging. I'm going to hit the OK button, the reverse button for 5 minutes, or 5 seconds. 3, 4, 5. That software did say the version was like February. So we'll look to see what this one when it comes down. So it looks like it finished it, but when I look at the version down here, 2023.2.6.0, that's the same version that was on it before, so nothing new or revolutionary there. Thanks for joining me, picking up my new Taiga Nomad, and my initial thoughts. I hope this was informative and lets everybody know what's going on with this sled. So come this fall, when the first snow hits, I'll make sure to post another video on the performance and review and contrast to my gas-powered XC600 Polaris. So make sure to subscribe so that when that video comes out, you'll be notified. Thanks for coming along, and we'll catch you next time.